Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me right now while you're thinking like everyone else. High achievers are thinking differently. While you're accepting limitations, they're breaking through barriers. While you're making excuses for why you can't, they're finding reasons why they must. The difference between average and extraordinary isn't talent, luck, or circumstances. It's mindset. High achievers don't just think different thoughts, they think with different brains. Today, you're going to discover the mental operating system that separates the elite from everyone else. Teach the foundation of elite thinking. You want to know what separates high achievers from everyone else. It's not what they do, it's how they think. It's not their actions, it's their mindset. It's not their circumstances, it's their mental framework. High achievers have fundamentally different operating systems running in their minds. They process information differently, interpret challenges differently, and respond to setbacks differently. While average people think in limitations, high achievers think in possibilities. While ordinary minds focus on problems, extraordinary minds focus on solutions. While typical thinkers see obstacles, elite performers see OPP opportunities. The mindset of high achievers is not something they're born. VITAC, it's something they deliberately develop. They consciously choose to think thoughts that serve their success rather than sabotage their efforts. They intentionally cultivate mental habits that propel them forward rather than hold them back. They systematically eliminate thinking patterns that create limitations and replace them with thinking patterns that create breakthrough UGHS. This is not positive thinking. This is strategic thinking. This is not wishful thinking. This is powerful thinking. This is not hopeful thinking. This is high potential thinking. High achievers understand that the mind is like a computer. It operates according to the programming you install in IT. If you program it with limiting beliefs, negative expectations, and defeatist attitudes, it will produce limited results. But if you program it with empowering beliefs, positive expectations, and victorious attitudes, it will produce extraordinary results. They spend as much time working on their minds as they do working on their businesses. They invest as much energy in developing their mental capabilities as they do in developing their professional skills. They understand that mindset is not just part of success. Mindset is success. The difference in thinking starts with how high achievers view themselves. While average people see themselves as victims of circumstances, high achievers see themselves as creators of circumstances. While typical thinkers believe they're limited by their past, elite performers know they're empowered by their future. While ordinary minds think they're products of their environment, extraordinary minds know they're architects of their destiny. High achievers have an unshakable belief in their ability to influence outcomes, create opportunities, and shape their reality. This self-concept creates what psychologists call internal locus of control. The belief that you have power over your life rather than being powerless in your life. High achievers take responsibility for their results, both good and bad. They don't blame external factors for their failures, and they don't attribute their successes to UCK. They understand that they are the common denominator in all their outcomes. This ownership mentality empowers them to make changes when things right aren't working and to replicate strategies when things are working. But the mindset of high achievers goes beyond just believing in themselves. It extends to believing in what's possible. While average people accept the status quo as permanent, high achievers see it as temporary. While ordinary thinkers believe that's just how things are, extraordinary thinkers believe that's how things are for now. High achievers have what I call possibility consciousness, the ability to see potential where others see problems, to envision solutions where others see roadblocks, to imagine success where others see impossibilities. Teach obsession with continuous growth. High achievers are absolutely obsessed with growth. Not just professional growth or financial growth, but total growth. Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and intellectual expansion. They understand that the moment you stop growing, you start dying. They know that standing still in a rapidly changing world is the same as going backwards. They recognize that their current level of thinking created their current level of results. And if they want different results, they need different thinking. This growth obsession manifests in their daily habits. High achievers read more books in a month than average people read in a year. They listen to more educational content in a week than typical people consume in a month less. They attend more seminars, workshops, and conferences than ordinary individuals attend in a lifetime. They're constantly feeding their minds with new information, fresh perspectives, and innovative ideas. That they understand that in the information age, ignorance is a choice, and they choose knowledge. But high achievers don't just consume information, they apply it. They don't just learn concepts, they impact them. They don't just collect knowledge, they create results. They understand that knowledge without application is just expensive entertainment. Information without implementation is just intellectual masturbation. Learning without doing is just academic exercise. High achievers are practitioners, not just students. They're implementers, not just COL lectors. They're achievers, not just learners. The growth obsession also includes a fascination with failure. While average people fear failure and avoid it at all costs, high achievers embrace failure as their greatest teacher. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. They know that every failure contains lessons that success cannot provide ye. They recognize that setbacks are setups for comebacks if you have the right mindset. High achievers fail more than average people because they attempt more than average people. But they also succeed more because they learn more from their failures. Yes, this relationship with failure creates what psychologists call growth mindset. The dynamic belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. People with fixed mindsets believe their talents are static, that intelligence is unchangeable, and that capabilities are SEAT. But high achievers know that talent is just the starting point. They understand that intelligence can be expanded. They recognize that capabilities can be developed. They see their brains as muscles that get stronger with exercise. High achievers also understand that growth requires discomfort. They know that comfort zones are called comfort zones because they're comfortable, but nothing grows in the comfort zone. They deliberately seek out experiences that challenge them, stretch them, and make them comfortable. They voluntarily put themselves in situations where they might fail, look foolish, or fall shorter. They understand that the discomfort of growth is temporary, but the regret of stagnation is permanent. The commitment to continuous growth also means high achievers surround themselves with people who challenge their thinking. They seek out mentors who are where they want to be. They associate with peers who push them to be better. They avoid people who are comfortable with mediocrity and attract people who are committed to excellency. They understand that you become like the people you spend time with. They know that iron sharpens iron. They recognize that if they're the smartest person in the room, they're in the wrong room. THC power of crystal clear vision. High achievers have laser-focused vision. They know exactly what they want, when they want it, and why they want IT. Their goals are not vague wishes or general desires. They're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound targets. While average people have fuzzy goals that change with their moods, high achievers have crystal clear objectives that guide their every decision. While ordinary thinkers know what they don't want, extraordinary performers know exactly what they do want. This clarity of vision creates what I call reticular activating system activation. Your reticular activating system is the part of your brain that filters the millions of dart pieces of information coming at you every second and determines what deserves your conscious attention. When you have clear goals, your brain automatically starts noticing opportunities, resources, and connections that can help you achieve those goals. It's like buying a red car and suddenly seeing red cars everywhere. They were always there, but now your brain is programmed to notice DMM. But high achievers don't just have clear goals, they have compelling goals. Their objectives are not just specific lines, they're inspiring. Their targets are not just measurable, they're motivating. Their aims are not just achievables, they're exciting. High achievers choose goals that pull them forward rather than goals they have to push themselves toward. They select objectives that energize them rather than drain them. They set targets that make them jump out of bed in the morning rather than hit the snooze button. The power of crystal clear vision also includes understanding the why behind the what. High achievers don't just know what they want to achieve. They know why they want to achieve IT. They don't just have goals. They have permups. They don't just have objectives. They have missions. This deep understanding of their why gives them the fuel to persist when things get difficult. It provides the motivation to continue when they want to quit. It supplies the energy to push through when resistance is high. High achievers also understand that vision must be double-lightened. Goals in your head are just wishes. Dreams without documentation are just fantasies. Objectives without ink are just thoughts. High achievers write down their goals, review them regularly, and revise them as necessary. They understand that the act of writing crystallizes thinking and transforms vague ideas into concrete plans. They know that what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets achy weld. But clear vision is not just about the destination, it's also about the journey. High achievers don't just see the end result, they visualize the process of achieving IT. They don't just imagine success, they rehearse the steps to success. They don't just picture the victory, they practice the behaviors that lead to victory. This mental rehearsal prepares them for the challenges they'll face and programs their subconscious mind to guide them toward their goals. The crystal clear vision of high achievers also includes multiple timelines. They have daily goals that create momentum, weekly goals that build progress, monthly goals that generate results, yearly goals that create transformation, and lifetime goals that define their legacy. They understand that big goals are achieved through small daily actions consistently applied over time. They know that extraordinary results come from ordinary activities performed extraordinarily well. TAG. Relentless. Focus on solutions. While average people focus on problems, high achievers focus on solutions. While typical thinkers dwell on what's wrong, elite performers concentrate on what can be made right. While ordinary minds get paralyzed by obstacles, extraordinary minds get energized by opportunities to overcome them. High achievers have trained themselves to automatically shift from problem-focused thinking to solution-focused thinking. This solution-oriented mindset starts with the language they use. High achievers don't say this is impossible. They say, how can we make this possible? They don't say this won't work. They say, how can we make this work? They don't say we don't have enough resources. They say, how can we get the resources we need? The questions you ask determine the answers you get. Problem-focused questions generate problem-focused answers. Solution-focused questions generate solution-focused results. High achievers also understand that every problem contains the seeds of its own solution. They don't see problems as roadblocks. They see them as uses to be solved. They don't view obstacles as reasons to stop. They view them as reasons to get more creative. They don't interpret challenges as evidence they should quit. They interpret them as evidence they need to adapt. This reframing transforms problems from sources of stress into sources of stress. The relentless focus on solutions also includes what I call resourcefulness over resources. While average people focus on what they don't have, high achievers focus on what they can do with what they have. While typical thinkers wait for perfect conditions, elite performers create descendants. While ordinary minds make excuses about limitations, extraordinary minds find ways around limitations. High achievers understand that resourcefulness is more valuable than resources. This solution-focused mindset also extends to how high achievers handle setbacks. When things don't go according to plan, they don't waste time complaining, blaming, or sulking. They immediately shift into solution mode. What can we learn from this? How can we adjust our approach? What do we need to do differently next time? They treat setbacks as feedback, not failure. They view mistakes as education, not EMB harassment. They see detours as opportunities to discover better routes. High achievers also have what I call solution acceleration. When they identify a problem, they don't just find one solution. They brainstorm multiple solutions. They don't just look for the obvious answer. They search for the best answer. They don't just settle for what works. They strive for what works best. This abundance of solutions gives them options, and options give them power. When you have multiple ways to solve a problem, you're never stuck. The focus on solutions also includes prevention thinking. High achievers don't just solve problems after they occur, they anticipate problems before they happen. They don't just react to challenges, they prepare for challenges. They don't just manage crises, they prevent crises. This proactive approach keeps them ahead of problems rather than behind them. It allows them to address issues while they're small rather than after they become drudge. Tiashi mastery of emotional intelligence. High achievers have mastered their emotions rather than being mastered by them. They understand that emotional intelligence is more predictive of success than IQ, technical skills, or educational background. They've developed the ability to recognize their emotions, understand their emotions, manage their emotions, and use their emotions to enhance their performance rather than hinder it. This emotional mastery starts with self-awareness. High achievers are conscious of their emotional states throughout the day. They notice when they're feeling frustrated, excited, understand what triggers certain emotions and what patterns their emotions follow. This awareness allows them to catch negative emotions early before they spiral out of control. It enables them to recognize positive emotions and leverage them for maximum impact. But awareness is just the first step. High achievers also have emotional regulation, the ability to manage their emotions rather than being controlled by them. When they feel angry, they don't react impulsively, they respond strategically. When they feel fear, they don't retreat automatically, they advance courageously. When they feel discouraged, they don't quit immediately, they persist powerfully. They've learned to pause between stimulus and response, creating space for wisdom rather than just reaction. High achievers also understand that emotions are temporary. They know that feelings come and go like weed. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's stormy, but it always changes. They don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. They don't let momentary feelings dictate long-term actions. They've developed what I call emotional perspective, the ability to see beyond current emotions to future possibilities. Emotional intelligence also includes empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. High achievers are skilled at reading people, understanding motivations, and connecting with others on an emotional level. This empathy makes them better leaders, more effective communicators, and more successful in relationships. They understand that success is rarely a solo ACT. It requires the cooperation and support of others. High achievers also use emotions as fuel rather than friction. They harness their passion to drive persistence. They channel their frustration into innovation. They transform their fear into preparation. They convert their anger into determination. They've learned that emotions contain energy, and energy can be directed toward productive problems. Instead of being drained by their emotions, they're empowered by them. The mastery of emotional intelligence also includes stress management. High achievers understand that stress is not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you. They've developed coping strategies, stress reduction techniques, and mental frameworks that allow them to remain calm under pressure. They don't avoid stressful situations, they prepare for them. They don't eliminate stress, they manage IT. They understand that some stress is necessary for growth and performance. Cheesy discipline of delayed gratification. High achievers have mastered the art of delayed gratification, the ability to resist immediate temptation in favor of long-term rewards. They understand that the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not the ability to set goals. It's the ability to delay pleasure in pursuit of those goals. They're willing to do today what others won't do so they can have tomorrow what others won't have. This discipline shows up in every area of their lives. While average people spend their money on immediate pleasures, high achievers invest their money in future returns. While typical thinkers choose entertainment over education, elite performers choose learning over leisure. While ordinary minds prioritize comfort over growth, extraordinary minds prioritize development over comfort. High achievers consistently choose long-term gain over short-term satisfaction. The ability to delay gratification is like a muscle. It gets stronger with exercise and weaker with neglect. High achievers strengthen this muscle through daily practice. They start with small acts of self-discipline and gradually build to larger ones. They're practicing no to good opportunities so they can say yes to great OPP opportunities. They sacrifice what they want now for what they want most. This discipline also extends to their relationship with discomfort. High achievers understand that discomfort is the price of growth. They're willing to be uncomfortable now so they can be comfortable later. They embrace the pain of discipline because they know it weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. They choose temporary discomfort over permanent dissatisfaction. High achievers also have what I call future focus. While average people make decisions based on how they feel in the moment, high achievers make decisions based on how they want to feel in the future. They consider the long-term consequences of their choices, not just the immediate effects. They ask themselves, will this decision move me closer to my goals or further from my goals? Will this choice help me become who I want to be or keep me where I am? The discipline of delayed gratification also includes the ability to work without immediate reward. High achievers understand that there's often a lag between effort and results, between input and output, between planting and harvesting. They're willing to work for months or even years without seeing immediate payoffs. They trust the process even when they can't see the progress. They maintain faith in their actions even when they can't measure their advancement. But delayed gratification doesn't mean never enjoying life. High achievers understand the importance of balance and celebration. They reward themselves for milestones achieved. They celebrate progress made. They enjoy the journey while staying focused on the destination. The key is that they earn their pleasures rather than just taking them. They celebrate achievements rather than just activities. Teach strategic thinking advantage. High achievers think strategically while average people think tactically. They focus on the big picture while others focus on immediate tasks. They play chess while others play checkers. They think 3 moves ahead while others think 1 move ahead. This strategic thinking advantage allows them to see opportunities others miss, avoid problems others encounter, and create results others can't duplicate. Strategic thinking starts with understanding the difference between urgent and important. Average people spend most of their time on urgent but unimportant tasks. Putting out fires, responding to interruptions, dealing with other people's priorities. High achievers focus on important but not urgent activities, planning, learning, relationship building, system development. They understand that urgent activities are often other people's priorities, while important activities are their own priorities. On the same, high achievers also think in systems rather than just goals. While average people focus on achieving specific outcomes, high achievers focus on creating systems that produce those outcomes automatically. They don't just want to lose weight. They create fitness and nutrition systems that maintain optimal health. They don't just want to make money. They build wealth-generating systems that create ongoing income. They understand that goals are temporary, but systems are permanent. Strategic thinking also includes scenario planning. And high achievers don't just plan for the best case scenario, they prepare for multiple scenarios. They ask, what if? Questions and develop contingency plans. They anticipate problems before they occur and create solutions before they're enacted. This preparation allows them to respond quickly when circumstances change rather than being caught off guard. The strategic advantage also extends to resource allocation. High achievers are masters of prioritization. They understand that time, energy, and attention are limited resources that must be invested wisely. They say no to good opportunities so they can say yes to great opportunities. They eliminate low-value activities so they can focus on high-value activities. They delegate tasks that others can do so they can concentrate on tasks that only they can do. High achievers also have what I call leverage thinking. They're constantly looking for ways to multiply their efforts rather than just increase their efforts. They build teams so they can accomplish more than they could alone. They use technology to automate repetitive tasks. They create systems that work without their constant supervision. They understand that working harder has limits, but working smarter is limitless. Strategic thinking also includes understanding timing. High achievers know when to act and when to wait. They understand market cycles, seasonal patterns, and human archwise MS. They launch products when demand is high. They make investments when prices are low. They recognize that the right action at the wrong time can produce the wrong result. They're patient when patience serves their strategy, and aggressive when aggression advances their goals. THE resilience and persistence factor, high achievers have developed extraordinary resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks stronger than before. They understand that resilience is not just about surviving difficulties. It's about thriving because of difficulties. They don't just recover from challenges, they're transformed by them. They don't just get back to where they were. They use setbacks as springboards to get to where they want to be. This resilience starts with their interpretation of failure. While average people see failure as evidence they should quit, high achievers see failure as evidence they're in the game. While typical thinkers view setbacks as permanent, elite performers view them as tempered or ever. While ordinary minds interpret obstacles as stop signs, extraordinary minds interpret them as construction zones, temporary inconveniences on the road to success. High achievers also have what I call failure impunity. They don't take failures personally because they understand that failure is an event, not a person. They separate their results from their identity. They know that one bad performance doesn't make them a bad performer. They understand that temporary defeat is not permanent fear. This separation allows them to learn from their mistakes without being crushed by them. Persistence is the cousin of resilience. While resilience helps you bounce back from failure, persistence helps you keep going despite obstacles. High achievers have developed supernatural persistence, the ability to continue when others would quit. They understand that most people stop just before they would have succeeded. They know that the difference between success and failure is often just one more try. This persistence is fueled by their understanding of the success. Pros loss. High achievers know that success is not a straight line. It's a series of ups and downs, advances and setbacks, breakthroughs and breakdowns. They expect challenges and prepare for obstacles. They don't interpret difficulties as evidence they're on the wrong path. They interpret them as evidence they're on the path to something significant. High achievers also have what I call intelligent persistence. They don't just keep doing the same thing hoping for different results. They persist while adapting. They maintain their commitment to their goals while remaining flexible in their methods. They understand that persistence without adaptation is just boringness. They adjust their tactics while maintaining their strategy. The resilience and persistence factor also includes what I call bounce forward ability. High achievers don't just bounce back to where they were before a setback, they bounce forward to where they want to be. They use difficulties as opportunities to develop new skills, build new relationships, and discover new possibilities. They emerge from challenges better prepared for future success. TG, final fan into elite mindset. This is where everything comes together. This is where you stop thinking like everyone else and start thinking like a high achiever. This is where you transform your mental operating system from average to extraordinary. This is where you upgrade your mindset from ordinary to elite. The transformation begins with the decision to think differently, see differently, and believe differently. But changing your mindset is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process. It requires daily practice, constant vigilance, and consistent commitment. You must actively choose to think like a high achiever every single day. You must consciously reject limiting thoughts and embrace empowering thoughts. You must deliberately replace average thinking patterns with elite thinking patterns. The transformation starts with your internal you. High achievers talk to themselves differently than average people. They use empowering language instead of limiting language. They ask empowering questions instead of disempowering questions. They tell themselves empowering stories instead of limiting stories. The conversation in your head determines the results in your life. You must also change what you feed your mind. High achievers consume different information than average people. They read different books, listen to different podcasts, watch different videos. They surround themselves with content that expands their thinking rather than contracts IT. They expose themselves to ideas that challenge their assumptions rather than confirm their biases. What you put into your mind determines what comes out in your sanctions. The mindset transformation also requires changing your associations. High achievers spend time with people who think like high achievers. They associate with individuals who challenge them to grow. They avoid people who are comfortable with mediocrity and attract people who are committed to excellency. You become like the people you spend time with. Choose your associates wisely. But the most important part of the transformation is taking action from your new mindset. Thinking like a high achiever is not enough. You must AT like a high achiever. You must make decisions like a high achiever. You must respond to challenges like a high achiever. You must pursue your goals like a high achiever. Mindset without action is just fearless. Action without mindset is just activity, but mindset plus action equals transformation. Right now, you have a choice. You can continue thinking the way you've always thought and get the results you've always got toddling. Or you can choose to adopt the mindset of high achievers and start creating the results you've always wanted. You can remain average or you can become extraordinary. You can stay ordinary or you can become elite. The mindset of high achievers is not reserved for a special FEW. It's available to anyone willing to develop ID. It's not about being born different Venice. It's about thinking different. It's not about having special advantages. It's about creating mental advantages. It's not about being lucky. It's about being prepared. Your transformation starts right now. Begin thinking like a high achiever. Start focusing on solutions instead of problems. Begin seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. Start believing in possibilities instead of limitations. Begin taking responsibility instead of making excuses. Start pursuing growth instead of accepting commodity. The world needs more high achievers. It needs more people who think differently. It needs more individuals who refuse to accept mediocrity. It needs more leaders who create rather than just consume. It needs you to develop the mindset that creates extraordinary results. Your future is not determined by your past, it's determined by your mindset. Your success is not limited by your circumstances, it's expanded by your thinking. Your potential is not capped by your current situation, it's unlocked by your mental framework. Develop the mindset of a high achiever and watch your life transform in ways you never thought possible. Think like the person you want to become, and you start becoming the person you want to be. The mindset of high achievers is waiting for you to claim it. The thinking patterns of elite performers are ready for you to adopt them. The mental framework of extraordinary success is available for you to implement. No go. Think like a high achiever and watch your life change forever.